go do? What thing you go do when you're feeling like you're falling and you can't find nothing to hold on to?
Mainland 98.3 FM. Don't touch the dial. 98.3 FM. Don't touch the dial.
Yeah, I know what this is.
98.3 Mainland FM.
Good morning and welcome to Trends in the Papers on 98.3 Mainland FM. Time check right now. Well, it's going on 7:41 a.m. Joined by SAHEED FUHAD, that every Monday morning we try to keep you by Sage Babalola. All right, I have here petrol prices crash at depots amid national airfares skyrocket. Alaba demolition. Sanwo-Olu meets Uzodinma, sets up joint committee. India plans currency swap with Nigeria. Reps intensify lobby for juicy committee appointments. Anxiety is in Enugu as killings set communities on edge. Insurgency. Zamfara Senator Yerima canvasses fresh dialogue with bandits. Obi tackles Tinubu over long convoy, ask him to lead by example. Environmentalists lament Fred Akume plus G5 governor's defection, minister. And finally, retirement windfall. Ex-service chiefs get 4 chief of defense staff, that is. Others also get free across the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Thus, The Guardian, New Telegraph, The Nation, and Vanguard newspaper. So those are the stories that we're going to be looking through. We'll do this up until 8:30. And then by 8:40, we've all thoughts and opinions as chat section at Mainland 98.3 FM on Facebook and YouTube. A whole lot is happening right here at Mainland 90. People would associate the 7th month or the number 7 with perfection. And, you know, there's a whole lot that's been perfected. What is happening, we bring it to 3 Mainland FM. And I will be... I didn't get that.
Good morning. Interesting on the roundtable yesterday.
It was...
But again, a lot still happening in the political space, and I'm sure papers would have enough to report this morning.
Well, just as you have said a lot, I mean, yesterday was actually, well, I don't know, there's, the National Assembly. Yes, in the National Assembly, where we now have oppositions, making a whole lot that we're still looking forward to in this current administration. There's a whole lot. I mean, we're still awaiting the minute. But let's start with alternatives amid onboarding cost. Fuel, and how much did it cost?
Naira per liter.
Okay, and what has been the power situation in your area? Some people have said they have been experiencing improved power supply.
Well, I think an average of 10 to 12 hours in a day, has been consistent over the last, let me say, 8 months, even before this fuel crisis started.
Okay.
This increase in fuel prices,
Consumption now consumers are looking at different alternatives. We have solar and quartz.
A solar system at home that would not be less than be more than ₦1 million. 5 years ago that I installed it cost me almost about ₦500,000 naira. So I'm sure by now, if you were to install a 2.5 kVA inverter with 2, I'm sure these options are
exactly. I mean, just exactly as you have accurately analyzed. It says here in turn and setback for those that are exploring that particular option, especially in the current inverters on the grid and minimize the use of generating equipment. Nigeria missing in top 5 rally government behind mass metering policy. Here generating set to power their home.
You know what we go after the tales by moon. Tell some good families to the weather is a bit more friendly, and I think that's a noise.
Operating cold rooms, but FUHAD, is this how now like this we go
removed, and now we are getting to that big question: what exactly is the government is insulting? and that we should refrain from using the word palliate. And up till now, government has not been able to put anything cost of businesses and all of that. But on the part of
Electricity Act 2023 that was supposed to, make things easier, supposedly on the grid, on the national grid. What about that? Is this something that
as a country has started during the Jonathan era, where the distribution part of our power sector, the generation and distribution part of our power sector was privatized? That have distribution companies who are going to come invest so much money and handle the tools to Nigeria. What eventually happened, and nothing has changed. We moved from NEPA to PHO. The question is, who are the guys that would eventually mess up the process? So for me, it's too early to. I think it's some level of cautious optimism.
All right. More details on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Moving on now, we also have here, all right, and the story is on page 5 of the Guardian newspaper. So what we have is an expenditure of about 400 billion naira so far saved from removal of PMS subsidy. It implored the Nigerian leader to provide details of how subsequent how subsequent savings will be spent, including specific projects and mechanisms in place to ensure that the funds are not embezzled, misappropriated, or diverted into private pocket. Fuhad, what would you make of that call? I mean, is it?
Well,
do you agree?
Hello, Sandra.
Do you agree that
it's a valid call?
Okay.
I like the rule set up.
Fuhad back. I'm sure that's. I don't think that's from our end. But you're listening to Mainland 98.3 FM, and this is spending of the.
Okay, so what I'm saying as the media trying to inform Nigerians, so it's a fantastic one. We get money through funds. If you understand what I'm saying, I think a lot of us, some of this money saved on subsidy, will still go into financing our budget. Because initially we are always been borrowing money and all of that. So probably we are going to now put some of this money into financing our budget to run some of the things that have been budgeted for. Unless the government is going to come clear like this and announce now, but we don't have some specific things slack on that. We are getting on about
the spending of the 400 billion terrible to the public, to the newspaper. Now, let leadership alleged yesterday on political roundtable, but I'm curious actually as regards this. That's the whole point when you say majority and minority meaning what it means, exactly what the name implies. So as the National Assembly resumes this week for full legislative duties, attention will shift to the lawmakers as jostling continues for election into principal offices. Unlike the ruling APC, the major opposition party, which is the PDP, is yet to arrive at a consensus on who amongst its leading candidates it favors to become the minority leader in the Senate. Now, we have former Sokoto State Governor, Senator Aminu Tambuwal, former Deputy Majority Leader Abdul Ningi, that's Bauchi, Agom Jaribe, that's PDP Cross River. So there seems to be some sort of tension over principal officer's position in the Senate Minority Caucus. And now, barring any last-minute changes, the National Working Committee of the PDP is set to meet with its members in the Red Chamber today in Abuja to forge a common front. Now, I would have asked, that I hope we're not going to see, a ripple effect of what happened or what transpired within the PDP into this particular one now, because, there were a lot of issues. I think there's still a lot of issues, in the PDP. But then my question is, are we going to see some sort of resolve in the PDP as regards this particular one, especially going by how the APC was able to, put things together, put things in place as regards the get there. I'll see if we can ask that question again. But then, meanwhile, the ability of legislative independence and principle of checks and balances. On the front page of the Guardian, we have here imperative of UTS building planning permit rates up by 100% amid worsening housing crisis. That is also on page 19 of the Guardian. Dollar loan for Abia to rehabilitate roads, manage erosion and solid waste. This is a good one. Oh, this is an interesting one. Let me put it that way. The story is on page 5 as we try to connect back with Saheed FUHAD via the phone line. So what we have here is that the board of directors of the African Development Bank Group has approved a $115 million loan for Abia State to rehabilitate roads, manage erosion, and solid waste in Umuahia and Aba. Money for the project, estimated at $263.8 million, consists of a 100 million AFDV facility, a Canada Africa Development Bank Climate Fund loan of 15 million, and $125 million co-financing loan from the Islamic Development Bank. This is interesting. So, under the scheme, which is expected to be completed in 2029, a total of 248.46 kilometers of road are to be refurbished in asphaltic concrete. Erosion sites in both cities will be reinstated. The project also includes capacity building, management and development of social infrastructure in different facilities. FUHAD, do we have you back? All right. Yes.
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Do you have anything to say as regards that? Abia seems to be on some...
On track.
Yeah.
Well, Abia State is one state that needs a lot of work. And I like the fact that the new governor seems to be hitting the ground running and showing some commitment towards fitting what I can call infrastructure in that state. If there's one state in Nigeria that has a lot of problems with governance, right from 1999 till date, I think it has to be Abia State. There's a consensus out there that that state has not been run properly. There's a lot of problem with governance at the state level. The governors have not really done well in putting the state where it fully belongs, as it's supposed to be the commercial hub of the entire southeast region. So it's a good one that we have a new governor there, who seems to have a good idea about how to fit infrastructure in that state. Investment on infrastructure, whether it's through loan or grants of this nature, is not a problem. So far, the job is done, and it's able to help the living standards of the people. So I think it's a very good one, and that Abia State should have some form of respite when it comes to quality infrastructure, roads, drainages, and all of that. So a very good one. We'll keep our eyes on what's going on in Abia State and continue to report it.
All right. Thank you very much. You're listening to Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. And this is Trends in the Papers. We're looking through major trending stories on the front pages of our dailies. We're just through with the Guardian newspaper. Don't forget that we are live on Facebook and YouTube at Mainland 98.3 FM. I have Saheed FUHAD via the phone line. He's our analyst. And my name is OMOBOLA Sandra. Well, moving on now to Vanguard newspaper. The major headline there says, March to Nigeria's economic recovery. Revealed, Tinubu's move against terrorism. And their riders. Comprehensive onslaught against terrorists and bandits begin. Security architecture set for review. Rules of engagement to be determined by the nature of the security threat. More shake-up imminent in the security services. President vows to stop crude oil theft. Economic policies to reflect contemporary realities. Scores of captives released as farmers return to their farms in Northwest. Consultations in the political, economic, and security spheres continue. What?
Yeah, this is a report from the Nation newspaper, right?
Vanguard.
Okay, from Vanguard. All right. Again, definitely you would expect that we'll see some short-term successes in our security situation. Of course, you have new service chiefs who, of course, would want to make a statement. That is very natural. They've just assumed office, and they will want to, at least in the minimum, convince the president that, look, he didn't make any mistake by choosing them to head our security architecture in the country. But again, sustaining this momentum is not very important. You understand what I mean? How do we sustain this momentum? Again, the reports of killings are still being reported. Killings in different parts of the country. I think yesterday, Nuruddin talked about a kidnap situation and in Ogun State here. And I think Plateau State is also having killings. There are still some killings going on in southern Kaduna. Zamfara still has issues of banditry, although one of the bandit leaders was killed and was reported over the weekend. So, again, we would expect that the service chiefs will bring some form of performance, a complete departure from what we saw in the last 8 years of the last administration, and we'll see some level of improvement as far as security is concerned in the country. But we don't want it to be a short-term thing. We must be able to sustain the momentum. We must, because again, the first job of government, SANDRA, is to secure the lives and properties of the people. Every other thing is secondary. It's the first job of any government. And that's why the last administration was considered to a great extent a failure, because of the level of insecurity that it left Nigerians with and the number of killings that happened under it. So we're expecting to see a departure. It's good that this administration is trying to rework our security architecture, change service chiefs, look at the architecture again and all of that. But there's one thing that I'm still expecting this president to talk about. Again, that is in setting the agenda. I'm still going to be seeing or waiting to see what he's going to do with the idea of state policing. Because that also goes into the idea of devolution of power or restructuring of the country. He's been a bit silent about it so far, but we're waiting to see, because that's one idea he has also talked about severally before becoming president. So we'll be waiting to see what he does going forward with the idea of state police. Because again, I think everybody all agrees that we have gotten to a point where we should have a state policing arrangement, and nothing yet from this government, but wait to see what he says about that.
All right, then, thank you very much. Just as you have, clearly put out the fact that, we have new service chiefs, I think we should just sit back and watch how things unfold. More details on page 14. But then regarding the, energy that seems to be on the forefront right now, this hit the ground running situation that we have found ourselves now. Do we see any form of effect or consequence on the economy of the nation, generally speaking? I'm looking at it from point of view of the crude, oil theft. Is there anything that we should expect from the service chiefs? One, and also this our Tompolo arrangement. Is this something that we should still? Is this something that the security, agencies should hold on to? Or is this something that NNPC, let me put it that we should still hold on to?
Well, again, we don't have a clear idea yet from this government on what they want to do with crude oil theft, how they want to handle it, how they want to tackle it. Like you rightly just asked now, are we going to still go on with the Tompolo arrangement? That's a 4 billion naira contract that goes out every month, monthly to on that arrangement. Are we going to hold on to that? There are people who said Mujahideen Asari Dokibo visits to Aso Villas. So the new president was also a visit to also demand for some oil protection contracts and all of that. So are we going to be leaving the protection of our pipelines in the hands of former militants and all of that, or we are going to find a situation where we're able to restructure our security architecture to ensure that the Navy, the Army, and the armed forces are able to really protect these pipelines? We don't have a clear direction yet, and I think that that is coming as a result of the fact that we don't have ministers yet. So a lot of the policies of this government are still not in the open. Again, that may be the excuse. But again, we'd have to wait to see how this government wants to do it differently, whether they're going to change things or maintain status quo. But the reality is that there are still issues with oil theft. We still have to tackle it. A lot of our crude oil is still being stolen. Nothing has changed completely. So, and our economy is still largely dependent on oil proceeds. So we need to really tidy up that end. So we just have to wait. It's early days, I must say, Sandra, to really say anything as far as policy of this government is concerned. But I think economic policy generally is geared towards the government making money. The government needs a lot of money, and we see that most of the reforms are geared towards ensuring the government has enough in its coffers. But again, the ultimate question, the big question has always been, can we trust them that after making all the money, they will be prudent with their expenditure, there will be accountability and deliver the goods for ordinary Nigerians?
Thank you very much. More details on page 14 as regards economic recovery. The march to Nigeria's economic recovery through the president's move against terrorism. Now, moving on, still on the front page of Vanguard newspaper. FUHAD anxiety as federal government resumes work on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. So last week, due to the Salah festivities and all, there was suspension on the construction works at Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, and now today we resume. It's back to status quo. I don't know, but just, there's a whole lot that I would love to ask, but every time I ask questions relating to it, I keep getting the same answer from you, which is, well, we need to, because the ministers are the ones to hit the ground running, and the ministers have not yet been named. Because I would ask that, what exactly is the plan for this Lagos-Ibadan expressway work? I mean, 20-something years and counting. But what we have here, anyways, is motorists and road users plying the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway expressed fears as the contractor of the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing resumes rehabilitation work on the axis today. So, yes, I'm with you.
I don't know whether they moved, they started work this morning, but as I speak to you, I'm locked down somewhere around that axis. There are connecting roads to the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. As I speak to you, over the last 1 hour, it's complete lockdown, in these areas. So I don't know whether it's a resumption of the road or the fact that, look, it's a Monday, it's a rush hour and all of that. But again, the situation of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway is so unfortunate, really, Sandra. If we look at some of the projections and timelines that have been given for the completion of that road, and here we are, work is still ongoing. But I know that one day, that road will be completed. Because again, that's the only thing I can say. That is that one day will be one day. We'll hear that, finally, that road is completed. Because I'm also saying if there's anything like the Guinness Book of Records for a road that has the longest years of construction, that's the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. So, again, there have been budgetary provisions for it, monies have been put into it, timelines upon timelines have been given for its completion, and only thing you hear is that work is still ongoing. I don't know. I really don't know. So I can just only hope and pray that one day we get an announcement from government that road is completed.
Oh, we'll get an announcement from Guinness World Records for longest, construction work on a particular road. Well, more details on page 10 of Vanguard newspaper. Anxiety as federal government resumes work on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Moving on now, we also have here this very interesting story for us. Very quickly, JAM raises alarm over candidates parading fake scores, and that is on page 35 of Vanguard. So apparently, our youngsters, are taking advantage of the CBT, that JAM now uses to manipulate things via some back-end software packages. That's interesting. So, as it is now, JAM has recognized that scores being claimed by some candidates who sat for the past UTM, this 2023 UTME, actually have some Dagbo inside. Fake. There's a particular young woman,
a young lady
that's going to be prosecuted. And the interesting thing, she showed her result as 362 out of 400, and she was awarded a 3 million naira, scholarship by Innocent. Yes, and also, only for us to find out that her result was actually 240 something, 249.
Which is not even a bad result.
It's not even a bad result. So why inflate? What was the point of inflating? That's one. And two, what is the future of our university system? Just the other day, we were having a conversation that the score baseline now is 140, and now we have people changing results.
Maybe they don't know that some of these seats. Permit me to use the word, I don't understand the way the partial institution system works. There's always going to be verification of results. Standard. Right. Whatever you present at O level and JAM will still be verified. Even if you are admitted with a fraudulent result, which you understand, maybe
I know two people who resumed, and then at the point of verification, it was in their 400 level that the verification came up, and then they'll be expelled from the school. They were expelled. Yes.
Yes.
So
I guess these kids must must understand that. Look, but I'm sure it's some of these tech guys who have been able to develop softwares to manipulate these results from the back end of JAMB and all of that. But I think that they must understand that, look, whatever they do to present fake results, you know, to the universities and all of that to get admission, the results will still be verified. And sometimes the verification don't come early, like you just pointed out. Sometimes at 300, 400 level that they will now decide to go verify the results. And then what happens when you are expelled at that level? So, because I'm sure some people must have sold this idea to this young one. And that's why she will be prosecuted, but I think that she could not have done it all by herself. Where there are competitors from within JAMB, which is not impossible. Is it that there are people within JAMB who take them these back-end softwares and all of that?
You know, the story of this young lady is just one. That's her name is Ejikeme Joy Mesoma. That's just one. There's actually another person. This one is Atung Gerald, who was said to have scored 380. FUHAD. This young man did not even sit for the examination.
So I was able to generate the result.
So do you think now that maybe JAMB needs to look at their back ends, you know, for hackers and all? Or hope we will not be experiencing glitches?
Because again, JAMB has not been completely clear about what has happened with these supposedly fake results. Whether, maybe they just went and printed a slip, maybe they're able to design a slip somewhere, or really they were able to generate these results, you know, breaking into the back end server of JAMB and all of that, where they're able to keep their results, you know. So we still need to get more information from JAMB.
According to the report, according to the report, JAMB is saying that in many instances, some of these candidates have actually obtained far lower scores than they claim, and they use some funny software packages to manipulate their results to deceive unsuspecting members of the public.
Manipulate their results how, Sandra? Breaking into the server of JAMB or what? You know, you see that the software generates the result and you're able to print a fake slip. Or indeed they go into the result portal of JAMB and are able to tinker with it. That's why I said we still need to get a complete idea from JAMB on how these people are able to actually manipulate these results. The word manipulate is for me too general. Manipulate how? Is it that they just print fake results, or they are able to actually break into the result portal of JAMB and then tinker with the results? And that would be a big one, because that's cyber fraud. That's a very big, you know, these are things that could land some of these youngsters in jail. And I think they can't do it alone. We need to, if there's a syndicate helping these students to do all of this, they should be filtered and prosecuted accordingly.
Well, thank you very much, FUHAD, for highlighting that particular one. How exactly are they doing this? Is it that they are changing it from the back end, or they are printing something totally different? Because it's quite ambiguous here. What I just have is the fact that they create their own version of the result, print it, and then, you know, put it out. That's what they do.
Okay, so all right, okay. They did not break it with JAMB's back end. They just do their own thing.
So they should. I think they should just do their own back end work and let's know what exactly they are doing, so people can know. But they just put a disclaimer out there that, you know, people should verify with the board. So that means the board still has the original result. So it's not as if they changed the results in the back end or anything. The board still has the original result. All you have to do is check. I think what these young people do now, maybe they just create their own version. I don't even know. But it's very
if they are able to sneak into a university or polytechnic with that result, Sandra, they will still be expelled. That's one I know for sure.
Because
unless they also go into the system and unless they also, but again, you know, the school system to still have corrupt officials. So unless they get into those schools and are still able to manipulate their way and graduate. But I know that there are situations where even if you go for NYSC and all of that, there are still verification processes that will be done that will lead them into trouble.
All right.
That I know.
Thank you very much, FUHAD. We have to run now very quickly. More details of that on page 35. Very, very unfortunate incident there. That's on Vanguard newspaper. Moving on now, I'll take these two stories together so we can run quickly. I have here ministerial nominees. Osumbo, Ambassador Musa Mohammed. Ambassador Musba. That I'll follow him to Abuja. I'll leave you here for All right, but then Osubo, Ambassador Musa Mohammed may make list, and that's on page 9. We also have 10th Senate, opposition to Tambuwal's minority leadership bid swell. So I'll start with the second story because I started with it on from The Guardian, but that was the time we had some network issues with you. Now, Fuhad, do you think that the PDP can overcome whatever squabbles that they have not been able to resolve since before campaign, during campaign, election after election, and now put their heads together to ensure that they come and have a consensus as regards minority leadership in the Senate?
Well, unless the leadership of the PDP decides that they really want to be selfless and help Nigerians, create a proper opposition to this government, it would have to come from selflessness, not from these selfish interests that we're seeing. And that would mean the political gladiators in the PDP calling themselves together to understand that, look, they are not just going to be doing this for their party or for themselves, but for the soul of the country, for the soul of the nation. There is no democracy without a vibrant opposition. That is why in the US, for example, they ensure that, look, there's always a midterm election to ensure that they are able to create a balance, between the ruling party and the opposition party. Because, look, democracy without proper checks and balances is not democracy. What you would have is a democracy that is autocratic in nature. And with autocracy, power corrupts absolute, power corrupts absolutely. You understand what I'm saying? So we need to appeal to the leadership of the PDP because they are still the majority opposition party in Nigeria. So please, be selfless for once to save the soul of democracy in Nigeria by bringing themselves together to behave properly. They need to rein themselves in, and nobody can do it but themselves. It's about being selfless now for the soul of the country. Look, whether Tambuwal is supported or not, because this is the politics going on, Sandra, I think we did a bit of analysis of that on political roundtable yesterday. The wicked camp and the G5 camp believe that Tambuwal betrayed them. We knew the episode of Tambuwal stepping down for Atiku to win the PDP primary. So they feel that Tambuwal, the former governor of Sokoto State, is from the Atiku camp. And so the wicked camp is not supporting him. In fact, the wicked camp is supporting the senator from Cross River State. And so it's now a battle of supremacy in the party. You have the Atiku camp and the wicked camp. But the problem with the wicked camp is that, look, this is a camp now that is so much in bed with the APC ruling party. Because as of today, Wike may say he's still a member of the PDP, but his actions and inactions have shown that he's not even committed to that party again. Because you can't completely be in bed with the other side and continue to claim that you are part of the PDP. And so what this is bringing up is a situation where people are saying that, look, the APC is also delving his hands, putting his hands in what is going to happen as far as minority leadership is concerned in the National Assembly. They have their own problem that they are not resolving, the APC. For people who don't know, the majority position is also being contested heavily. The APC leadership and the presidency, according to reports, is supporting Okoyemi Bamidele, the senator from Ekiti State. But not all senators are already questioning that. That look, if we lost the Senate presidency to the South, the majority leadership for the APC should go to the North, not the South again. So that's also one problem that the APC is battling with. But the same APC is being reported to be putting its hands in the minority politics of the minority parties by also ensuring that minority leaders are the ones that are friendly or chosen by the APC. So we are working towards an autocratic system of government if we are not careful. If we stifle the opposition out of existence. And that's why we are begging the PDP and the Labour Party to behave themselves for the sake of democracy in Nigeria.
Thank you very much for Fuhad aptly put, because I just found it very interesting the way Guardian coined their own headline. It says that PDP NWC meets senators today over minority leadership, alleges APC interference. And I'm wondering, nobody interfered when they were choosing when they were micro zoning the leadership of the assembly, and now we are hearing of interference. So, but just as you have rightly said, we need that opposition vibrantly. More details of that on page 8. And very quickly now, page 9, I'm moving on. Page 9 has a story here as regards ministerial list. Quite interesting names that are coming forward here. barring any last-minute change, former governor of Edo State, Professor Oseheme Osumbo, and a career ambassador from Taraba State, Ambassador Musa Mohammed, may make the ministerial list to be submitted to the National Assembly this week or latest next week. All right. Well, there's a whole lot of other, permutations here. There are different names that are being pushed out, but we'll discuss further.
Let's just wait for the list.
Exactly.
Too much planted stories and all of that.
Exactly. All right. That's all that we can take from Vanguard newspaper. What we have here: 9 illegal refineries with 1 million barrel per day production capacity uncovered in Bayelsa. FUHAD, just in 30 seconds, should that be shut down, or should it be legalized, taken over by the government? What would you say?
There have been debates about illegal refineries having the capacity to refine crude oil, whereas our own mega refineries have not been able to function. Whereas illegal refineries are actually refining, and that goes to the issue of conspiracy to ensure that our refineries are not working. If ordinary people, more people can construct illegal refineries and refine fuel, and we're actually getting products out of it. Our own mega refineries have been there. We have been putting money, turnaround maintenance overall, and we have not been able to run it. So it means that there's something wrong about our commitment to fixing our refineries to ensure that we're able to locally refine. So the debate is, look, can we just legalize some of these illegal refineries, or even encourage people to come and get licenses for small refineries, modular refineries, so that we can begin to refine locally? Because again, whether we like it or not, if we continue to rely on importation of PMS, the prices will continue to go up, because it's going to be a matter of forex. Immediately the naira just bad against the dollar, and dollar goes up. It is a matter of time the price of PMS will still go up until we're able to fix our local refining capacity. And this goes to say that, look, we can have small refineries to refine here in Nigeria. If the big ones cannot work.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Saheed FUHAD. Unfortunately, we have come to the end of the road for trends in the papers this morning. But just before we go, I see this story, on the front page of New Telegraph, and I thought that, that is actually true. Parties shift battleground to Imo, Kogi, Bayelsa. They're having their elections November this year.
November, yeah.
Yes, and there's been a lot of intrigues behind the scene. I'm sure we'll be looking deep into that on special editions, looking at Imo, Kogi and Bayelsa elections. Yes. All right. Just to put that out there, they are having their governorship elections November later this year, and that's from New Telegraph. And that's all we can take this morning. We'll take a short break. We'll be back by 8:40 for Mainland Focus, where you get to be a part of the conversation. We'll pick 1 or 2 trending stories and then get your comments, your thoughts as regards it. My name still remains OMOBOLA SANDRA. That is FUHAD Saheed via the phone line with the analysis. This is Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos.
Reaching stars, the sound of Lagos.
John,
What's up?
check your phone. I just send you Momo referral.
My mama don't run that one for me since now. Me say for the find who I go refer, make a quick hammer my million.
Hey! You too fit be one of the 12 millionaires for the Momo Refer and Win promo. To win, dial star 671 hash to sharply open your Momo account and select option 6 to refer family and friends them. After that, make sure say them open Momo account and use and recharge airtime or data at least 100 naira. Chicken, the more people where you refer, the more you go win. If you not see out of 12 million naira every week, you fit chop out of 25 million naira.
Momo Refer and Win promo. The more you refer, the more you win. Promo go run from June 15 till August 9, 2023. Terms and conditions they shall.
The 2022-2023 Universities and Polytechnic admission is here at the Eco College of Management and Technology, Eco City. Opportunity to gain admission and bag a national diploma degree is now available in the following courses: Mass Communication and Multimedia Technology, Banking Operations, Computer Engineering, Computer Science, Science Laboratory Technology, Performing and Media Art.